Hello and welcome to the latest of my deep dive videos. Today I'm going to explore the Taurus new moon, which occurs at 28 degrees and 25 minutes in the sign of Taurus across the 19th and 20th of May, depending on where you live. I'm going to share those key locations around the world shortly, but I'm also going to look at what the Taurus new moon represents. Also, what makes this particular one this year so unique. We have other planetary influences feeding into it, and we must take account of those. I'm going to do that in two ways, based on the overall zodiac that we can all collectively relate to, but also based on Placidus, the event chart. So what can we expect specifically from this year across the following month from the 19th in the 30 days following. I'm then going to go on to explore each of the 12 zodiac signs from Aries through to Pisces, which you can relate to in terms of your sun or your ascendant. The choice is yours. So please stay with me for those. If you're a returning visitor, thank you so much for joining me once more. If you're new here, it's great to have you with us. This is very much a community, so please share any thoughts you have. But I'd be honoured if you would subscribe. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. Also, if you'd like to get your free daily horoscope fired to your device each morning, please see the link below. I've been writing these for about 28 years, so I think I'm quite unique amongst the YouTube astrologers for that. And also, if you would like to understand how more serious astrology can have a profound impact on your life, if you give me 3 pieces of personal birth data of time, date and place of birth, I can provide for you your life roadmap report, which will give you a much more intimate understanding of the patterns that have impacted on your journey so far, but how you can negotiate your future more successfully. And also within my special package, a 12-month forecast, totally unique to you, which will give you searing insights for the months ahead. If you don't know your time, I have a new package based on your sun solar package, and works in the same way. You get the life roadmap, but also the forecast, and 30% off. And if you enjoy watching your sun sign video, this really is something that you can relate to extremely well. So this event, the Taurus new moon, occurs at 28 degrees 25 minutes in the sign of Taurus and across the 19th and 20th of May. On the screen now you can see where it occurs in all the major cities of the world. So what is a new moon? Well, if we think about it, the moon is our inner world, the sun our outer world. Because the moon in the sign of Taurus is exalted, this is its second best location in the whole zodiac after being in the sign of Cancer, which the moon rules. So it's a really exciting location for the moon to be. But the combination with the sun means that we can link our need for security, emotional warmth, receptiveness with our drive. So the next month can really give us a fantastic platform. And one of the things that Taurus energy likes is a degree of stability. It's a fixed sign, which means that constantness is something it really appreciates. Now that's really been challenged 5 months in 2018 and since March 2019, because the planet of surprises and more erratic energy, Uranus, has been shaking things up in Taurus, and Uranus is not at its best in the sign of Taurus. But basically, what the sign of Taurus really appreciates is practicality, stability, an appreciation of money. It's about our values. It can be about our sense of self-worth, but also our life foundations. If you're someone who really appreciates good food, that part of your nature can really be enhanced over the next 4 weeks. but any kind of sensual pleasure can call out to us all. If you're a maker, a crafter, that too can be something you can hugely enjoy. But getting our needs met is something that we're going to set our intentions on this particular new moon for. So whatever it is you desire, set your intentions on this event. And with the moon exalted in Taurus, there's a great chance to make this happen. Now this specific event has Jupiter newly arrived in the sign of Taurus, and Jupiter is about growth, expansion, and of course in traditional astrology it can be about good fortune. And it likes being in Taurus, so it's going to work its magic over the next year for a lot of people. But we also have Mercury, the planet of communication, in the sign of Taurus too, but now it's out of its retrograde. It's still in its post-retrograde shadow and will be through to the end of the month. But I think a lot of the glitches and delays and frustrations which have impacted on the flows of money and managing our everyday resources will have eased off. But we also have the North Node, very much about our collective direction of travel, but crucially that more disruptive energy of Uranus before we have the combination of the Sun and the Moon. Now on the screen now I'm showing the solar birth chart, and you can see that Mars in the sign of Cancer links brilliantly with this particular event. Mars, of course, is about desire, can be about determination and grit, it can be about our individuality. In the sign of Cancer, it is in its full. So one of the things that we do need to be mindful of is not trying too hard or being a bit too defensive and prickly. And it can lead to a little bit of moodiness as well. But I feel that we've got the earth energy is supporting the water energy. So the water energy with Mars, we think that Mars does rule the water sign of Scorpio traditionally. So we're being asked to tune into our senses. But I think anything to do with property is going to be very much to the fore, whether it's rentals or purchases, the housing market in general. It's all going to be very much to the fore over the next 4 weeks. There's going to be a big narrative, a big conversation around that. Now, in terms of the event chart, you can see that Mars goes, in terms of Placidus, Mars goes to the top of the chart, the 10th house. It's a bit of a contradiction because obviously Cancer is the 4th sign, and the 10th house energy is quite redolent of Capricorn. So it's about the desire for success. And you can see that the position of the Sun and the Moon, along with Uranus, are all in house 8, very much about long-term finance. Anything to do with investments, shares, pensions, legacies, property matters, can be to do with mortgages. So that's really interesting. But the key here is that although Mars is incredibly supportive, along with Neptune in fact, to this event, so Neptune, again in the water sign of Pisces, is asking us to tune into our instincts. It's Pluto that really is the most important player, because it forges a great link, a trine, a dissociate trine to the Sun and the Moon. It's only a couple of degrees out. So that can be very transformational in a very positive way. But because Pluto is in reverse in the sign of the collective, us all, in the sign of Aquarius, it works well with the new moon, but not well with Mars. So we've got a clash that's approaching between Mars and the position of Pluto, which becomes exact on the 20th of May as Mars makes its way into the sign of Leo. So I feel in the natal chart, in terms of Placidus, we have a 10th, 4th opposition. So where we're looking for security and stability, very Tauran energies, it's possible that something dramatic can be in the works. Now maybe it's going to be on the world stage, because when Mars and Pluto are in opposition, that's quite a warlike stance. And we all know that the world has been shook up by a number of different disputes, or disputes that have been ongoing for a very long time, that do concern us all, because we're so connected these days in terms of trade, digitally, even culturally. We're much more interwoven than we've ever been before. So I think that is a little bit of a concern. But in terms of this event, I think what Pluto's saying is, look, we have to accept that we are going through some big changes, and that's going to impact onto our sense of security, well-being and stability around everyday money, Taurus. But there are opportunities for transformation if we work with the more thrust-in and more dynamic energies of Mars, but I don't feel that we can force anything. So there's a new practical reality developing, so it may see us having to be a little thriftier, perhaps a little bit more old-fashioned in some of our approaches to resources. Now, I know I've been saying this for some months now, but it all stems back to when the North Node in Taurus clashed with Saturn in May 2022, and then the big acceleration of the cost of living crisis that we've been going through then came on the Taurus lunar eclipse on the 8th of November 2022, and we've been on the back foot ever since. So this Taurus new moon, particularly with Jupiter just nudging into Taurus and Mercury, the planet of commerce, going forwards now, could see some kind of pushback on the concerns that, not so much in terms of equities, it's more about the bond market, where a lot of governmental borrowing has gone on when interest rates were very low, because if interest rates have gone up, those products are now costing governments a fortune to service, and that is causing concern and anxiety. And of course we have seen some banks that are not so well capitalized have been taken over around the world. So the key with Taurus energy is to appreciate continuity, steadiness. So for us all, if we can sort of do the things that give us a sense of peacefulness, get grounded, whether we're making things in a crafting sense or making our own food, growing our own stuff, being in nature, living life in a simpler way, being a bit more conscious of our outgoings and a bit more conscious of how we use resources, a little bit to perhaps taking them a little bit for granted. So that's the big reset that's going on this particular new moon. But if you can set your intentions to improve your personal situation, it's a great opportunity to do so with such a lot of positive energy. It's just that clash between Mars and Pluto that we need to watch out for. So please stay with me as I go through each of the 12 zodiac signs from Aries through to Pisces. Now for you, Aries, because you had two new moons in your sign, one of which was a solar eclipse, and because Jupiter had been supporting you so actively, if you have been very creative in coming up with some ideas, the chances are you're going to see how they're faring over the next month. It's almost like you've been planting lots of seeds, but now you can start to see the shoots coming up, which is really going to be gratifying if that happens. Now, Jupiter can be a planet or an influence which sees us take things for granted. If you haven't, and you've been very proactive with your talents, the chances are all your hard work can now start to reap a harvest. So absolutely lovely for you. If you have been on something of a dietary mission, just be aware that this particular new moon could challenge your fortitude and may see you tempted towards some calorific goodies. But if so, why not have a treat or two? But if you're really serious about eliminating something from your life that's rather yummy, it could be a little hard to stick to your plan. Now, Taurus, for you, this is an absolutely fabulous new moon, not least because of the moon being exalted in your sign. But you're someone who does appreciate that continuity, but that doesn't mean to say you can't start things off or initiate. And if you wanted to initiate, this is the time to do so. This is a kind of extended Taurus season, because although this event is occurring late in the sign, because Jupiter's just come in, Mercury's gone direct, you still have the node at the moment, go for it. And Uranus is encouraging you to be more experimental. So even if you're someone who does like to stick to what you know, I feel that if you do try some different approaches, it can be that you're setting in motion something that will come back to you in time, but it can be a very exciting time to give yourself some kind of glamorous makeover, start a new relationship, a new job, and there's a lot of thrust and energy, almost like fiery energy, first house energy, almost like the first of, or the ace of batons in the tarot. That's the type of energy that I'm feeling for you at this time. Now Gemini, for you, a lot of energy going on here, including your ruler Mercury in your 12th house. If you're someone, particularly with the planet of spirituality, Jupiter, in your 12th house now, I feel over the next year you might surprise yourself by some of the development in your situation, whether it is a pull towards traditional religions or working with your own sort of spiritual interests that may be more individual. Certainly understanding your higher purpose is going to be quite a theme over the next month, but equally it can be a time when you reminisce or you think about people from your past and suddenly they're getting in touch, perhaps through social media. And it's true to say that with Venus in this particular event, along with Mars in house 2, I actually feel that past effort could come back to you financially now, but you may still want to just have a little bit of time just out, being in nature, having some peace and tranquility. Although you're someone who can be super connected to others, very interactive, great fun to be with, you may actually enjoy having some peace and tranquility for a while. If you're very much into the healing arts, or you're someone who uses things like massage or homeopathy and things like that, those can really be very much of interest at this time. Now Cancer, for you, this event occurs in your sector of future plans, but also your connections to others, your friendships, your groups, your highest ideals. And you know, it's all to go for because Mars, the planet of initiation, is in your sign, linking brilliantly to this event. So with Venus also giving you extra help, I think you're going to find yourself right at the heart of things, whether it is in terms of your own individual hopes or the way you connect to others. Your popularity is going to be strong. Expect to have a lot of invitations and interactions with others. An absolutely sublime event for you with lots of possibilities. Leo, now for you, this showcases the part of your situation to do with your talents. And now Jupiter's here over the next year, you may receive acclaim that you've worked towards for a very long time. Mercury going direct, if you've been waiting for news on a job, it can come through now. If you wanted to start your own business or take an existing enterprise forward to the next stage of success, the fact that you have this collection of energy in your 10th house is really exciting. Of course, you're a fixed sign like Taurus, so if you're someone who tends to resist change a little bit, Uranus is pushing you to be much more open to doing things in a fresh way. Now, because Mars and Venus are both in your 12th house, it could be that your preoccupation with worldly interactions could mean that someone romantically may feel that you're a bit tied up or a bit too busy with what's important to you. Or you could find that if you don't feel that a particular relationship at the moment meets your expectations and goals in life, it could be under a big review. Virgo, for you, this collective of energy is in house 9. A wonderful time for you to travel. Jupiter's already telling you that as it begins its mission through the sign of Taurus. So the next year could be a time when you apply for a higher educational course, do some on-job training. It could be that you're going to relocate to a different place. If you do go on holiday, the cultural side of the visit will be as appealing to you as getting some sun and the proverbial sangria. But generally speaking, I feel that this is really giving you a big push to be much more independent in your approach and much more pioneering and adventurous. So spontaneity is the key word for this event for you. And it may be that there's going to be some invitations that are linked to groups as well, or shared interests. Now, Libra, of course, your sign is ruled by Venus. just like the sign of Taurus. So that Venusian energy works well for you, but all this packed in energy is in house 8, but with Mars and Venus in house 10. This could be very good for you if you're in business and you're wanting to make progress, raising your profile, applying for a new job, doing a presentation. This can all power forwards really impressively. Then again, you could surprise yourself by being much more assertive about your talents and seeking greater recognition, and you're going to want to be rewarded properly. So you're going to be quite shrewd and very incisive when it comes to negotiations over the next month. Scorpio, for you, all of these energies occurs in your sector of relating, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, of course, the moon in your sign is actually in detriment. So because you're quite a private person in some ways, what this event is asking you to do is to reach out and collaborate. But because your ruler, traditionally Mars, and the rather svelte energies of Venus, the ruler of Taurus, are in house 9, which is about travel or being open-minded. If you're single, you could meet someone on a vacation, a holiday, a business trip, just going out and socialising somewhere different. But if you do, there is a real opportunity to improve your relationships. I feel that Pluto, your modern ruler, is also supporting this event very successfully in terms of the new moon itself, but of course it is clashing with your traditional ruler. So I just feel that your work-life balance can have an impact on your relationships over the next 4 weeks, or your professional relationships are just as important as your talent and knowledge. Sagittarius, all this energy occurs, of course, encompassing your ruler Jupiter in house 6. That's to do with work, to do with welfare, to do with virtue, to do with fitness, hygiene, being of service to others. But you're a freedom-loving planet, so all of those things are very much to do with sacrifice, being considerate to responsibilities and obligations. But if you have felt out of sorts, a bit stressed out, Uranus's Saturn and Saturn square over the last couple of years has probably really taken its toll. Now, the fact that Mars and Venus are in your 8th house of money, prosaically, and sensually, romantically, that's interesting. Be open-minded about where you can connect with people if you're single in the next month. But I feel that you are going to be focused on quite a lot of practicalities in the next 4 weeks. Capricorn, for you, what a glorious event, because this is house 5. This is where you have fun. This is where you're sociable. This is where you charm people. And if you are looking for a new romantic involvement, having Mars linking into this new moon is really going to bring a lot of intensity, but also possibility, but extra confidence in terms of your moves over the next 4 weeks. And Jupiter, of course, is going to support you for the next year. Mercury going direct means if there has been some snags around someone you've been trying to get to know, they can be ironed out. Can't guarantee that relationship would work out for you, but there may be somebody else that's going to call out to you in a fine way. A great way to get to know someone at the moment, I think, would definitely be by attending, like watching a band, or going to an art gallery, or perhaps a local party, certainly where food and wine are shared, those type of things. There's lots of bubbly interaction. You will really shine spectacularly well. Now, Aquarius, for you, since Uranus moved into the sign of Taurus for that 5-month period in 2018, and since 2019 March full time, where you live and how you live there and family affairs may have been quite unsettled, and it may not have been an easy period at all. But some real healing can come in over the next 4 weeks, or some resolutions to some issues. You know, if you've been adapting your property, you can just get it as you want. If you can't quite afford to do that at the moment, you can set the plan in train and you will get there in time. If you're actually moving, it could be to the place where you can find yourself really at peace and truly at home. Also, if you're wanting to add to your family, this can be an exciting time. Or if you're older, someone younger in the family could announce the news, the happy news of a new addition. So lots of wonderful things can evolve. and I think definitely around your home and emotional situation for the next month. Now, in terms of Pisces, well, this is a very exciting event because it's the third house, which is governed by Mercury. Mercury is now going direct. Jupiter, the planet of expansion here. Believe in your ideas. Your ideas can gain much greater currency in the next month, but it's your enthusiasm and passion that comes from Mars, but also Venus in your fifth house, linking into how you can convey your message, which can draw a lot of goodness to you in the next 4 weeks. So I think you're going to perhaps be getting a lot more text messages, emails. It can be a playful time, but also a time when you learn some new skills or perhaps impart your knowledge to somebody else, but more interaction with neighbours, siblings, quick short journeys or exercise which is stimulating. Your mind can really be switched on, but there's a lot to be gained over the next 4 weeks by the fact that Saturn and Neptune in your sign are linking into planets really well on this event. Case of Neptune in terms of Mars, and with Saturn so supportive of Mercury, I feel that if you get all your planning and thinking and research done really well, this can be a time when you can really start to move forwards at some pace. It's been a real pleasure being with you. Thank you so much for joining me. Please do like, comment or subscribe.